Thanks for staying here. The Deputy Local Government Minister Neelanti van der Poel has been meeting the residents of Old Fadama and the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. This meeting is aimed at finding ways of dealing with the aftermath of the AMA-led demolition. The Deputy Minister explains there seems to be differences in the measurement of the 100-meter limit. Nonetheless, when I spoke with Mr. van der Poel minutes ago, he's made clear that although the exercise will go on, alternate arrangement is being made for vulnerable and unduly affected persons.
We've also agreed on now, after we are talking now, we have agreed on how to settle the women and children who are affected now. And then also we have agreed on how to organize for those who willingly want to go back, how we can get them back. We have agreed on those three. What we are left now is to finalize the arrangement with the utility providers to make sure they restore utility to the community as at today, because due to the demolition, electricity has been cut to the place, water has been cut.
Have they been restored now?
They are working on it. It doesn't take just some few hours to do those things. A lot of things have to be done because some of the pipes are broken, some of the electricity poles are broken.
Now, we've got information that this exercise is going to continue today.
Yes.
What time does it continue today?
Now, the AMA has decided to change the scope of the exercise for now until we reach a consensus on the discussion we are having now. What the AMA has decided to do is to start the exercise from the cleft area, so that by the time they will have concluded that one today, we will have agreed on the scope, we will have agreed on where it should go and what should be done next. And
okay, so in terms of finding shelter for the vulnerable group you mentioned, including pregnant women, lactating mothers and children, what alternatives do we have for them?
Well, we are still discussing. Various options have come to the floor. We are discussing them. We also, some of the discussion they brought was for the AMA to settle some of those people in tents just outside the perimeter of where the demolition has happened. But I am of the view that if we do that, we could be risking the life of those mothers and children, because assuming it rains this evening, those people could be washed off. So I want us to be looking at something. If it is not a long term, even if it is temporary, it must be something that is sustainable.
And so what is government's alternative it is given?
We are still having a discussion. I will not be able to give you conclusive decisions on that. We are still discussing.
Finally, there's been a lot
of various options.
There's been a lot of talk that some funding many years back was provided to relocate these dwellers at Old Fadama. What does the local government ministry know about this funding and what's happened to it?
All these talk has happened since my day as an assembly member for that area. As far back as 1996, we were discussing this issue. It happened. The funding was there to force regime and NDC regime. There's a lot of talk. As I'm talking to you now, I can't divulge all issues. I have taken a vote of confidentiality and secrecy. But there have been a lot of discussions on finding a more sustainable and more lasting solution to this problem.
Now, 35 suspects have been picked up in the Old Fadama demolition protest on Monday. The arrest follows various damages caused to property by protesters or protesting displaced residents of Sodom and Gomorrah who headed to the State House to speak to the President to halt the ongoing exercise being sanctioned by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. The Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Police Service, Superintendent Cephas Arthur, confirmed the arrest to Joy News earlier on News Desk.
The number has swollen to 35 this morning. The last time I checked, the persons, the suspects were with the police at Accra region, being investigated. We are building our docket, trying to gather evidence so we can put them before court. So we are handling the case. We are conducting investigations to ensure that those who are found to be culpable are put before court.
Now, let's look at who these people are and the reasons you arrested them. Over several hundreds of people thronged the State House yesterday, but you arrested 35 of them. Who are these persons you arrested?
we are not even limiting it to the State House alone. The main issue started from Agogloshi, where some individuals decided to kick the laws of the land in the face by embarking on demonstration without first notifying the police at least 5 days before the event, as stipulated by the Public Order Act. Having even embarked on that illegal demonstration, they committed further crimes by blocking public ways, setting fire to tires and other items their way, and engaging in acts of pandemonium, destroying police vehicles, pelting security officers with stones and other things. So we needed to effect arrest. You can't pick all of them, the thousands of people who were embarking upon the demonstration. You can't pick all of them. And even the Public Order Act stipulates, if they have even resorted to it, that when you lead any group of persons to embark upon demonstration, you are liable for whatever will happen. And when you are policing demonstrations like this and it turns rowdy, you pick main persons, henchmen, people playing active roles, and leaders.
Let's talk about today and what the police will be doing. What should we expect the police to do, especially in the areas that were affected by the demonstration? We're talking Agogloshi, we're talking State House. What are we expecting the police to do?
Mainly Agogloshi. We have police deployment there, heavy police deployment there, taking care of the situation to ensure that it doesn't kind of resuscitate and bring some hardship to the people who are going about their legitimate business over there. So the police deployment is heavily over there. Police have their deployment at other places to public installations. And we have our eyes and ears also on the ground, checking pieces of information for analysis and necessary.
Which public installations have you positioned at?
Oh, we don't need to list the kind of public installations that we have and the ones that we think are.
Now, Monday's exercise affected hundreds of residents in the old Fadama, and Joy News' Derek Okosam was in the area to find out how these residents are coping after the demolition. A number of them explained they had nowhere to spend the night.
For me, I'm a Muslim, so because of that, I'm sleeping in the mosque. We don't have anywhere that we can sleep. Just that we are sleeping at the mosque. That is where they have left those ones for us so that we can stay there. And some of the people are even sleeping anywhere. There's no place for us to sleep. Even when it rains, this rain will fall on us. We don't have, really, we are feeling very, very bad here.
Do you feel dejected?
Yes, we feel that maybe some of us, we are suffering here, especially this morning. A lot of people are suffering. There's no place for them, even water. There's no anything for us to.
So we were in the room when they just said people were just running after. So we also rushed out and it happened like that. So we couldn't even remove our things because of that. Even I'm a student. I'm a student at Tamale Government Secretariat School. So we have long back. So I came to just get something and then go back and then. So it happened that even some of my things are even there. So I don't know what to do. So for now, I'm living with a friend of mine. She's even safe. So I'm now with her.
Like as I'm telling you right now, I don't know where to go. I don't know where to enter. Understand?
But you've been for over a year.
Yeah.
So what actually brought you to this place?
Because of I come for business. Yeah, and the place that we are doing business is a scrap place. Understand?
Scrap dealer.
Yeah.
Okay.
As I'm telling you, even to me to eat self is very hard. Understand? Because this is the place that we used to get something to eat. Even there is small kids here. Understand? Some of them is this place. They used to give them food. Understand? These chickens that you see now, they go, they scatter everything.
Well, now we'll stay on the subject a bit longer, this time from Parliament, where Ranking Member on Defence and Interior, Major Retired Derek Odro, is demanding immediate beef-up of security in Parliament to safeguard members of Parliament and property of the state. He tells parliamentary correspondent Elton Brobe that yesterday's occupying of Parliament and the State House by residents of Sodom and Gomorrah left property destroyed and injuries to some policemen on duty. Elton Brobe now joins us over the telephone with more details. Hello, Elton.
Yes, I'm here.
What more around this has been happening in Parliament?
Well, what I do know is that early in the morning, the members of Parliament, the leadership met the Speaker behind closed doors to discuss security matters in the House. And so when the House resumed, the chairman of the Defence and Interior Committee, Balfour, drew the speakers and the members' attention to what happened yesterday when the demonstrators from the Sodom and Gomorrah slum occupied the State House, some parts of Parliament, and the conference center, and demanded that security be beefed up to Parliament to safeguard members of Parliament and national property. And some members contributed about that. The deputy minority leader, who spoke on behalf of his group, actually blamed the AMA for targeting what he described as the weak and vulnerable in society, because according to him, there are certain places here in Accra that are prone, people have built in those areas, and the reason why the AMA is not targeting those people and rather targeting people who are weak, who are poor, is something that he could not, understand, and actually demanded that the AMA be asked to put a stop to the ongoing exercise, allow for the people to leave the place within 2 weeks so that they can continue with the exercise. The majority leader on the spot actually asked the Speaker to summon the local government minister to appear before the House and respond to the circumstances under which the exercise is taking place. And this, the Speaker bought into and directed that the business committee chaired by the majority leader program the local government minister to appear before the House immediately, and I'm talking about tomorrow, so that he can respond to this issue. Members will have the opportunity to question him on the demolition, and then the House can pass the necessary resolution going forward. But for now, the business committee will have to immediately meet, communicate to the local government minister, together with the AMA boss, to appear before the House. Because the AMA boss directly works under the local government minister, the local government minister will have to respond to all issues that hitherto would have been answered by the AMA boss.
Very well. Now, earlier we were told by the police that security was going to be increased, if you like, at various public installations. Being at Parliament, what changes have you observed?
Well, not much. The situation has been the same. The normal security arrangement is what you experience if you walk into Parliament House. The main entrance has just 2 police officers. As a matter of fact, if you are walking through, they will not even ask where you're going. And the MP's entrance area has a police officer, and I've not come across an increase in the number of police personnel here. I think they have maintained the status quo, but I'm sure that going forward, because the meeting is still ongoing, maybe after the meeting they may ask, because according to Chris Balfour, the police personnel here have requested that their number be increased from the present 5 to 32, but there's been no communication from the police hierarchy as to whether this concern is being given the necessary consideration.
What else are we expecting from the House today?
Well, today, the Work and Housing Ministry, they have some questions to answer, and they will be responding to the question. The government is also amending the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, and they are proposing some amendments to some of the clauses. And the second reading of the bill has been taken. Consideration will soon start, and then we'll get to know the details as to which aspects of the law government wants to amend, the reason why, and what that amendment will seek to address.
Very well, thank you very much for the report, Elton. Elton Brobe joined us from Parliament. Now, Deputy Director at the Natural Resources and Governance Institute, Emmanuel Kuyole, is also asking government to pay more attention to rural development. He says the lack of job opportunities for people in the rural areas is contributing, or is the contributing factor for the increasing number in rural-urban migration. He believes if the right measures are put in place, people will not be moving to Accra in search of jobs. He stressed that the demolition of Sodom and Gomorrah alone is not the way to go. Rather, government needs to deal with the root cause, which is rural development and urban planning.
But I don't think the long-term solution is to just bus the people and send them to wherever they're coming from.
Why not?
It's not going to work. The reason why they will come back is because they are human beings, they are very rational, they want opportunities for themselves, and when they go back to their communities and the jobs are not there and they don't have anything to do, and they know that they will come to Accra and even be porters and survive, they will come back. So no amount of busing people is going to solve the problem. It's just a very short-term address to that. And I can bet you that you want to check this, if nothing is done concretely on the ground a year's time, they may not be at Fadama, but they will recongregate somewhere else in Accra. But this is showing us is the challenge with our urbanization problem. Over time, the demography of Ghana is changing. There's a massive rural-urban migration. People are moving from the rural areas. Why are they moving from the rural area? They're moving because people have aspirations. They're not going to sit there and not have good schools, not have good roads, not have electricity to educate their children. They want to improve the life of their children and children's children. So the problem is our urban development strategy. There's everything wrong with the way we are developing our urban areas.
We'll bring you the very latest from the ground in the course of the broadcast. But away from the story, Deputy Minister in charge of Tertiary Education, Samuel Kudzeto-Ablakwa, has confirmed the arrest of 13 suspects in the Ashanti and Greater Accra regions in connection with the BECE leakage. Speaking at a Campus Connect event in Ho in the Volta region, the Deputy Minister apologized profusely to the affected candidates. He, however, stated government cannot sack the WAEC bosses being demanded by sections of the public because WAEC is an autonomous entity.
The Deputy Minister said the ongoing investigations by the National Security led to the arrest of the 13 suspects in the Ashanti and Greater Accra regions. Mr. Ablakwa apologized profusely to the BECE candidates nationwide.
Reverend Ladies spent 1.5 hours at the BNI premises Wednesday night, assisting with the investigation. So far, 13 people have been arrested as of my last interaction with the BNI. From the Ashanti region and the Greater Accra region. I want to use this opportunity to assure all Ghanaians, that nobody will go scot-free. Begin by extending the regrets and the apologies of government, the President, the Minister of Education, of all of us, to our BECE candidates, 438,030 candidates registered for the 2015 BECE exams, which should have ended by now.
He also noted that the Education Ministry is still preparing the grounds towards converting all polytechnics into universities.
We are going to be doing a lot of investments. We are going to be spending resources, and that's why if you get the opportunity to study the Get Fund formula, you notice that the allocation to our polytechnics has been scaled up because of this conversion that we are about to carry out. It is the highest elevation of polytechnic education. Some people have wondered that perhaps we are just going to engage in a nomenclature change. It is not just a name change. What we are seeking to do is to carry out a true elevation in its proper understanding.
Other sector ministers also addressed the gathering made up of mostly tertiary students in turns. However, the whole Poly SRC president, Franklin Deco,
Nobel Prize laureate Wole Soyinka is calling for deliberate investment in the educational sector by African leaders to secure the future of the continent and its youth. The playwright, poet, author and political activist is in the country as a guest of the Ghana International School. In an exclusive interview with Joy News, Wole Soyinka said the African child has shown determination to compete globally but requires an enabling environment.
I had the advantage also of going to a government school, government college, Ibadan, which was well funded by the state, well staffed, well equipped. I mean, it is sad for me to go to schools, secondary schools in Nigeria today, and see that school children do not even have books. Whereas when I was in school in Nigeria, I was able to fool around even in the subjects I didn't have any interest in. Nearly blew up the laboratory once or twice doing chemical experiments, you know, burned to the desk and everything like that. You know. But the facilities were there. And today's school children, they miss that, and I think that is sad. So it has to be a government policy to pump a certain percentage of the national revenue into education. It's just basic. And I was fortunate that the school which I went to was, as I said, a government school in which all the facilities existed, actually. So it's definitely governance policy, a certain budget. And this, what I'm saying, is also recommended by institutions like UNESCO, that education must have a certain percent of the national budget.
You're watching Joy News today. There's more to come on the program. Don't go away. I'm glad you could stay on the program. Some residents of Labo and surrounding communities of the Sujaman district in the eastern region say they are contracting waterborne and skin diseases. This is because they have been drinking from a polluted stream which is also shared with animals. The residents are appealing for help before the situation gets out of hand. Beatrice Edu was in the community and reports.
I'm just right in the Ofutoku stream, and you can't imagine that this is the water people fetch to cook, to wash, and to do anything that has to be done with water. It's obviously an eyesore looking at how dirty this water is. Some of the people are getting sick. They are getting waterborne diseases like bilharzia.
I meet two school children. They just finished fetching the water instead of going to school. Joseph Kudo is in his 20s. He contracted bilharzia about 2 years ago. He tells me he detected blood in his urine few days after drinking from the Afotoku stream, which is the community's only source of water.
In Shubi or Haifan Afotoku, and Ayetano.
We drink from the Afotoku stream. A few days after drinking it, I saw blood in my urine. I had to go to the hospital for medication.
Other residents are equally worried about the state of affairs in this community and are asking for immediate intervention.
We don't have any good water here. This particular stream which passes here, if you bath it cool, you have scratches on your skin. You do me to when people in this household before, you see say it appears on your body.
What appears?
Rashes. So in this particular house, you have to boil the water or heat it before bathing.
We have pipe, but it does not flow, so we are forced to drink from the same water pigs drink from, and when we urinate, we see blood.
Thank you.
Our skin itches when we use the water to bath. We need help.
Clearly, urgent action is needed to fix the water situation in Labo and its surrounding communities, because every day more people may continue to contract waterborne and skin diseases. Beatrice Edu reporting from Labo in the eastern region.
Related development, the MCE for Yendi, Isa Zakaria, has told Joy News the Municipal Assembly has been supplying water to members of the municipality who were compelled to drink contaminated water sources because of the acute water shortage that hits the area. We'll bring you a quick check on that. In the meantime, the NPP National Youth Organizer, Samyuku, has noted that the failure of the Mahama-led NDC government to manage the fortunes of the country calls for a change in government come 2016. He added that Nana Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia are the only people capable of revamping the economy and putting it in shape. Samyuku was speaking at the maiden launch of I Am for Change 2016 at Ho in the Volta region.
The NPP youth organizer charged the party's youth wing in the region to convince their fellow youth about the good policies of the NPP, as well as champion the cause for hope and change in the country. He said he was confident that the wind of change that is blowing across the country would start from the Volta region.
The performance of President Mahama in government sometimes makes it difficult for people to even accept that we have a government in this country. And for the Volta region, I am confident that now the change that is blowing across the country will start from here. And that is why we are here today, bringing footballs, bringing jerseys to our various constituency youth wings, and also adding stickers. The stickers I Am for Change. We are starting it from this region. Ghana bread. President Rawlings said something that when you find yourself in a hole, the most logical thing to do is to stop digging.
He was optimistic the NPP would have more than 30% of votes in the Volta region in the 2016 general elections. The NPP youth organizer presented footballs and jerseys to all constituencies in the region after a closed-door meeting with constituency youth organizers and TESCON executives. The NPP I Am for Change 2016 program aims at bringing back hope to the youth in the country. It is also to reason with the youth to rally behind the NPP to effect change by voting out the NDC in 2016. Fred Kwame Asari's report for Joy News.
Thank you very much for staying on. The Agricultural Development Bank has suspended the launch of its initial public offer. The offer has been a bone of contention for the Union of Industry, Commerce and Finance workers who have accused management of the bank of shrouding the process in secrecy. INECOF therefore demanded broader consultation before listing on the stock exchange. The launch, which should have taken place today, was called over after deliberations between stakeholders. Joining us is Francis Aban, who's been studying a circular by the Professional and Managerial Staff Union and Local Union of the ADB, shared details of the circular with us.
Well, the suspension is containing a circular that has been distributed for members of the Progressive Professional and Managerial Staff Union is that, and just to read the details for you, it says that 1, the proposed IPO launch, which was slated for June 23, 2015, which is today, with a program lineup featuring all the major actors in the financial sector, has been called off at the last hour. Now, the interesting part about this statement is that it says it was called off at the last hour by management at a meeting with the Labour Minister and the TUC, and several circumstances, namely the rates issued at the Supreme Court by Dr. Sibe Ebua, the Member of Parliament, and the union's request to scrutinise the prospectus has compelled management to, and see the word it uses there, reluctantly rescind their decision to do a fire launch of the IPO.
So you can understand, because all was set, and even in yesterday's daily guide, at the back, there was an announcement.
Of course.
Not only of the launch, but how much you could actually purchase a share, 265, thereabouts.
Yes. Now, the second point they make is that the renewal of the managing director's contract, as is being circulated, the MD was asked this question in this crunch meeting yesterday morning between UNICOF and management, and his unfortunate, his unfortunate response was that we should seek clarity from higher authorities.
Then it raises the question who the higher authorities are. Was it the board? Is it the presidency?
Is it the Labour Ministry?
Is it the Labour Ministry? A lot of questions from there as well.
Indeed. Now, they're saying that they will demand an answer from these higher authorities that they are, indicating soon. But they want to assure the members of their union that by doing the rounds issued, it was on a false premise. It should be disregarded, and that they will get clarity on it. And they realize that all these have caused a certain uncertainty in the system. So for members who are on this action with them, solidarity, trying to get things changed at ADB, they're saying, yes, this might have, shaken a number of you thinking that things are not going the way we had planned. But they are making their moves to meet these higher authorities and get closure on the matter.
Well, do we know when this will come aboard again?
Well, we do not know for sure when this will happen. It's early days, really.
The Ghana Revenue Authority is predicting a dip in projected revenue for this year. This follows massive losses during the June 3 floods, and many industries were affected. The GRA, while touring some affected factories and warehouses in Accra, also asked these industries not to discard the raw materials destroyed by the floods till they are fully evaluated.
Officials of the Ghana Revenue Authority visited the industrial area in Accra where several businesses had their goods destroyed by the June 3 floods. The authority's first point of call was JK Industries, manufacturers and suppliers of paper and stationery to both government and private schools, where raw materials running into thousands of cedis have been destroyed.
It takes about 40 to 50 containers of paper, of raw material at any given time. So it's in excess of millions. It's approximately 60% the way we can see over here, the heights, till where the water reached. And paper consumes a lot of moisture if there's water on the ground. It was there for like 1 week. So now we hope that all the moisture comes out and then we start trying the papers on the top and then see which one will be working and which won't.
Alu Trade Company Limited also had their factory machines rendered useless, slowing down their production works.
Currently, I can say we are doing less than 10% of our production because everything we do here is machinery operated. It's difficult for us to do something with manual way.
Is that going to affect the revenues or the taxes you pay?
I think for the first 2 months, the company will suffer because of not being able to produce. It will definitely affect GRA.
Other warehouses visited, including New Pharma, suppliers of anti-malarial drugs, Continental Africa Trading and Desire Paint, who are all counting their losses. For the GRA, this means a drop in revenue collection.
We want to know the extent to which this could impact on the production of the companies and therefore on revenue.
You admit it would affect revenue?
Oh, definitely when there's destruction of material in warehouses, destruction of machines, you expect the revenue not to be 100%. But our focus is to ensure that the impact, the exact impact is what is reported to.
The authority, however, wants raw materials intact for the appropriate evaluation.
All the raw materials that they imported at concessionary rate of tax, if they are affected by the floods, if they get damaged, they can't on their own destroy them. They have to invite the customs to be present, to take stock, to assess the quantities and the values before they can go ahead to destroy them. Because insofar as such raw materials were imported and admitted at concessionary rates, customs as revenue interest. If that is not done, it will put the manufacturers at a disadvantage.
The GRA has meanwhile urged industries to get their businesses duly insured to avoid huge losses in times of disasters.
Now, destination inspection companies which have expressed interest in the proposal of the Trade Ministry to help pay 197 million cedi judgment debt owed banks which, in exchange of contracts, say they are unfazed by allegations of a breach of procurement laws by this proposal. They await the response of government to settle negotiations of this proposal, though the sector minister is to appear before the Parliamentary Select Committee of Trade, Industry and Tourism.
It is very premature to make that kind of call, because right now what is on the table is just an expression of interest, and we have expressed interest. And as we said before, we want to believe that due process will be followed in the next phase if it is the intention of government to proceed and award contracts on this basis. And the scope will definitely be outlined, the precise methodologies will be outlined, and it is at that stage that we can determine whether there have been any breaches. But it is our position right now that no breaches have been done. We've just been made to, it's a call to express interest. I think the letter is quite self-explanatory from the subject all the way to the end, is that it clearly expresses government's need to access a $35 million facility. And this would either be provided individually by the selected DICs, or it is also possible that it could be provided collectively. But the total requirement is $35 million. In our view, we've all individually expressed interest, and at this stage, as an industry, we are waiting for the next steps that government will take.
It's time for sports news, and do stay. And just before we do some business stories, let's go over to the Adabraka Polyclinic, which is left with no option but to convert an office belonging to an NGO into an OPD to handle cholera cases, as the cholera unit of the health facility is in a deplorable state. Hannah Odame is there. She'll give us some details of this. Hello, Hannah. Hello, Hannah. What can you report from where you are?
As you said, I am at the Adabraka Polyclinic, and this clinic serves the whole of Osu-Klote, which includes Adabraka, Asylum Down, TUC area, Odona. And what is happening here is that they have, because their tent, the cholera unit, which was supposed to have handled the cholera cases, is not in a good state. They have had to convert some of their offices into consulting rooms for OPD, whilst the OPD area has been converted into a cholera unit to handle cases. For the figures, I have with me Dr. Yao Edusipoku. He's a sub-metro director for the Osu-Klote district. He will tell us how far this is going, and then also the figures that they have recorded so far. Welcome to Joy News, and tell us, from January to now, how many cases have you recorded, and how are you preparing to deal with a likely cholera outbreak?
All right. From January to now, we've had 196 suspected cases. 26 have been confirmed, and there are 2 deaths. There have been 2 deaths.
And so tell us then your state of preparedness as of now, because I see some renovations ongoing here and some conversions.
All right, Hannah, like you said, we have done some evacuations to make room for the cholera victims. And then we have conducted massive health education in the areas that were affected by the fire and the flood. We have also put in stock drugs, medications, and then IV fluids for those who will come in. And we are continually embarking on health education and sensitizing our health practitioners.
We see that the community you serve is quite huge. Can you tell us when we'll be able to at least see a real cholera unit for the people who come here?
Good question. It has to be in collaboration with the Accra Metropolitan Authority, and then there should be a political backing, yes, for us to see the light of the day.
So can we heard him, Dr. Yao Edusipoku, the sub-metro director of Osu-Klote. He says they have the medications, they have the IVUs, but they don't have a place for the cholera patients when they come. That's why they have converted some of their rooms and offices into cholera units.
Very well. For him, is this not dangerous to do?
So Kevin, to join this one to find out if this is not so dangerous, the conversions that you have done. Is it not going to mix with the people who are coming to the OPD?
Yes, that's why I told you we have done some evacuations to make way for the cholera victims. So the usual cases that we have been seeing have been in collaboration with the medical superintendent of the places. We have moved, especially at the Adabraka Polyclinic, we have moved these patients, those who come in with hypertension and all that, malaria, outside, away from these units, so that this unit is just earmarked for cholera.
So does it mean they do not have any contact whatsoever with those who are coming to the OPD?
Minimal, yes.
I see, Hannah, we'll leave it here for now. That's all time will allow. Thank you very much. Hannah Odami joined us from the Adabraka Polyclinic, which is currently without a cholera unit. The polyclinic has had to convert some of its offices into a cholera unit. Thanks for staying here. Pressure Group Citizen Ghana Movement is set to launch a campaign dubbed Fly the Flag in Accra. The campaign is to whip up the sense of nationalism in citizens and encourage Ghanaians to place the national interest above political and tribal interests. The Fly the Flag campaign is being launched on Mancha Agbona here in Accra. And my colleague Gladys Oseo Reid is joining me over the telephone from there with the very latest. Hello, Gladys.
Hi, Femini.
What can you report from Mancha Agbona?
Basically, today marks the official launch of Citizen Ghana, and the campaign is Fly High the Flag of Ghana. The whole idea is to ensure that Ghanaians become proud Ghanaians, because for them, the patriotism has gone down, and so we have a lot of irresponsible citizens who just do not care about the well-being of the nation. So their cry, their campaign is towards incorporating into each citizen the spirit of Ghanaianness, so that we as Ghanaians will build our country, will build our nation, and be proud as Ghanaians also.
Very well. Now, this group, as we know it, came out of the Occupy Ghana group. Now, who are those faces we have seen representing themselves as members of the Citizen Ghana movement?
Well, for now, I may not be able to mention all names, but at least I remember Professor Alex Dodu, who is a member of he's a leading member of the group. We have musician Sydney, very much Sydney, who is also supporting the group. We have Professor A.C. Ansa, who is also a member of the group, and a host of other personalities of that caliber. For them, special group, this target is a bit different, because this time it's focusing more on building the nation, it's Ghanaian contributing his or her base towards the growth of the country, and not necessarily going after political issues. It's a political pressure group, but it's not partisan.
Very well, we'll leave it here for now. Thank you very much. Gladys also already joined us from Mancha Agbona, where the Fly the Flag campaign has been launched to whip up nationalism amongst Ghanaians. Now, the first phase of relocation of transport operators and traders at the KJT Lorry Terminal in Kumasi is underway. The exercise is to pave way for the reconstruction of the Kumasi Central Market. But some of the traders are adamant to move to the new sites. They were mobilizing to march to the Menchia Palace to petition the Asantehene, but there is a court order for a 10-day injunction on their protest today. Prince Apia joins us with more later in subsequent broadcasts. Now, that'll be all for the Let's take a look at our top stories once again. Members of Parliament request tight security following Monday's violent demonstration. The New government says it may compensate those whose homes were wrongfully affected in the old Fadama demolition. Police picks up 35 suspects in connection to the Sodom and Gomorrah demonstration. Residents of Labo in the eastern region contract waterborne and skin diseases after drinking polluted water source. My name is Kemini Nyamani, and I'm glad you could stay through the year. Enjoy the rest of our broadcasts. My name is Kemini Nyamani. Bye-bye.